Hi, welcome to this special session on NMAT. NMAT, the exam pattern has changed from the previous years. What is this change? They say it's an adaptive test. What is this, the first adaptive test from India? How is it different from the previous papers? How do you ace this paper? How do you prepare for each of the sections? We will compare in this session 2019 NMAT and the previous year's cutoffs to this year's expected NMAT paper.
Is this really first adaptive exam in India? Answer is yes and no, because GMAT was always an adaptive test. But even GMAT, I mean, it technically, NMAT is only for Indian institutes. Therefore, I can say that it's an adaptive paper and the first India's adaptive paper. But since it is being conducted and administered and delivered by GMAT Council, that the Graduate Management Academic Council, very difficult to say it's India's first one in that sense. Okay, and you can be rest assured there will be a lot of similarity expected between these two. Huge levels of similarity will be there in both of them. In fact, one of the key things which is not clear, which we will probably talk about as we go along, and in one slide I have put it differently, in fact, when we looked at it, and that is, like GMAT, you might have to attempt all the questions in the section. Till now, if you look at 2019, there was no need to, let's say, worry about not attempting certain questions, because there was no negative mark for not attempting. Incidentally, there was no negative marks at all in NMAT till now, because it is becoming adaptive. The negative marks will start making a difference. When you look at the GMAT pattern, you will see the same thing which is going to happen for the NMAT pattern also. Change not the preparation strategy, it will have partially change in the exam strategy. Okay. Would you be able to skip a question? We said no is the answer for this. What is an adaptive exam? Which I explained to you. This is the way the exam typically happens. Let's say the first question, you get it correct, the level of difficulty goes up. You get it correct, the level of difficulty goes up. You get it wrong, then the question level difficulty goes down. Again, you get it correct, level of difficulty goes up. The basic logic is, but you might think very bad about it, but it is not, because the marks assigned also per question keep going up. When you start solving more, you will get more marks. So the 20th question you solve correctly, 20th question that you solve correctly will have a higher value if the previous 19 have been correct than if you get a 20th question right and the previous 19 have not been equally correct in that sense. That is the way this entire thing works. And what is the change now that you can see in 2020? If you look at 2019, there were 120 questions. There were 120 questions, of which language, which is English, was 22. Your quantitative skills were 48 and logical reasoning was 40. And the allotted time was 120 minutes again. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is 40 allotted time. This is also 40, guys. There's a mistake in this. This is also 40 here. But the new pattern says all three sections are exactly the same. 36 questions in language skills, you have 28 minutes to solve. 36 questions in quantitative skills, you have 52 minutes to solve. And 36 questions in logical reasoning, you have 40 minutes to solve. Together, 120. While we said negative marking, it is not in direct, it is indirect or adaptive, like I have been telling you completely. The difference also is in scoring pattern. The score becomes, even if you get 0, you will get 36 marks. And of course, you can get 360 because the score, it is not the number of questions correct and wrong, which is also important. The number of questions correct and wrong will be important, but there is a possibility that somebody might get the same number of corrects and some number of wrongs, but the the adaptive score might be different. And that is because of whatever till now I've explained, how the level of difficulty changes when you are writing your questions, when you are solving your questions. This is what the paper was. If you notice, the last year the paper was language was of 96, 144, 120. That will now get rationalized because all of them are of 120, 120 and 120. Fair enough. This is very important to notice, since while there is no negative marking directly, there is no real negative marking, it is completely an adaptive pattern. So you have to be careful. The questions, I can assure you, will be not difficult at all. They will be easy questions. And my point is, this is exactly the way it works. If you first, it starts with a medium level of difficulty. Medium level, you get 2 correct, you get very nice. Then if you get it wrong, the level of difficulty reduces. This is the kind of a score it will back. Whereas, let's say you get 2 wrong, you'll have to really fight it hard to get it higher. You really fight it hard to get it higher. Similarly, if you keep getting the first 7, that's what I told you. The first 7, if you get it wrong, then your predictable score will go down something so badly. If I look at it, it will go, okay, sorry. The predictable score will go so badly that if all the first questions are wrong, for them after that to get it right, it will really take you a lot of time. But let's say the first 7 questions you get it right, then to get it, you have to make a lot of mistakes to get them wrong. Remember, this is exactly what I told you in your GMAT. NMAT also will be very, very similar in that sense. NMAT also will be very, very similar in that. So those of you are asking for negative marks, it is not really negative marks. It is about, if you get negative question, the next question that comes to you will be adapted according to your ability to solve. If you don't solve 2 easy questions, the third one also will be an easy question. Only when you get it correct, then the next question will be. So here is the pattern it will be, if you can write down. Let's say first 2 questions will be medium and medium. First question, look at this, the way it will happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say it goes like this. If you get both of them correct, then the next question for you will be a difficult level question. You get this correct, next also will be a difficult level question. If this also you get correct, there is a possibility that you actually get a 5th question, which is easy level. This will be a reward for you. Now, on the contrary, there is another possibility. Let's say the first 2 questions you will get it wrong. The next question will be an easy question. Let's say you get it right. The next one will be a medium level question. Let's say you get it wrong. The next one will be an easy question. Now let's look at it, the way in which this entire thing works, the way in which this pattern works. Let's say there are 2 people. This is person 1 and this is person 2. This is person 1 and person 2. And this is the pattern of the five questions that you get. So for every question, there is a weighted value for that. Now look at the 5th question. Both of them have got 5th question. Right. And both of them consider that is the same question. It is the same easy question. Same question. Let's say it is same. Even then, the weightage of this question, which is the same question, will be higher for person 1 than a person 2. The weightage of this question will be higher and the weightage of this question will be lower for a person 2. If you don't understand whatever I am saying, those of you who are in the software sector, you can make an algorithm like this. If you're not in the software sector, you don't understand an algorithm, do not worry about it. What we are saying is, look, the entire exam is becoming an adaptive and it adapts to your level of difficulty. That's all I'm trying to say. And that's the way the paper is given. Question types will remain the same. That is not going to change. You just have to understand the paper pattern. We will have revised NMAT mocks practice. We will give you enough of them as we go along. We will take a few. In fact, we are also developing a completely, in fact, there is a possibility that we will come out with a adaptive engine where the more easy the questions you solve, the more difficult questions you will get. More difficult questions you get wrong, the more easier questions you get. That is already in the pipeline. We have already used the last 3 years to develop that. Now that NMAT has already announced it, we will also come out with this practice session sooner than later. Okay. Last but not the least, let's look at what are the previous cutoffs and how to do it. What are the kind of question types? It is 120. We again look at it very, very quickly. Very quick thing. If you look at it, you will see that quantitative skills have 36 questions and 52 minutes for it. Logical reason, this is 2020 I'm talking about, 36 questions and 40 minutes. And language skills, which is English, you have 28 minutes together of 120 minutes. The interesting thing about NMAT, is you can choose whichever order in which you need to write these sections. This were the campus-wise cutoffs till last year. This is pure information I'm giving you. This might change. While the score is of 360, this might change. We will get to know. As you can see, these are the cutoffs for individual sections to the language skills. Out of 96 marks, the cutoff was about 53, 60 for logical reasoning, and 65 for quantitative ability. But the overall cutoff for Mumbai was higher at 207 marks. For Bangalore, it was 190 marks, and Hyderabad, it was 190 marks last year. Okay. Overall cutoffs and overall individual cutoffs for each of these things are given here for each of the sections, each of the years. It has hovered between 207, 208, 209, and 210. It's always been in that range, 207 to 210. And you can also see quant also has gone up as high as 74 and as low as 65. When you look at LR, it's almost been 55, 61, 60, 60, 60. So it's been around 60, 61 almost on an average. And if you look at language, it is also 1 year it has gone down to 50, but it has been around the 55, 60, 57, 53 kind of a route. These may not be relevant. These may not be relevant for you this year. Not completely relevant, because the number of questions have changed, the total scores have changed, and hence the overall scores and the individual sectional cutoffs may also change according to me. You have to choose your own order of attempts. 75-day window to take the test. Somewhere around October it will start and end off in December. Now people have been asking whether they're going to have more than multiple chances to write like last year. See, please understand, it's a commercial thing. Since it's a commercial thing, it will happen. So people, the NMAT guys or the GMAT guys will allow you to write more than once. But that doesn't mean you should spend so much of money on that. Clearly, it is a computer-based test. We know it. It's an adaptive test pattern. And last but not the least, you cannot navigate between sections. We have discussed this once again completely. Let's go back to some kind of a strategy kind of things. Let me quickly take you through that also. Language skill section will have what kinds of questions? Reading comprehension, para jumbles, grammar, within grammar sentence correction, one word substitution, which is synonyms, antonyms kind of things, which is simple words or vocabulary, synonyms and antonyms, sentence completion, wherein a sentence is removed and you need to complete the sentence, or it could be fill in the blanks also. 8 questions, 2 passages of 4 questions expected in reading comprehension, and out of the other 24 questions, all of these will be evenly distributed. Very easy to solve. Very easy to solve. So you don't have to worry. The only hope you should have is that the first 4 questions are not reading comprehension, but if it comes in, so be it. So be it. It doesn't matter. These are the number of questions which are given, approximate changes. It could be 32, 36 questions are there. error spotting can be there. This is the last year's questions kind of. What happened last year? 8 questions of 2 passages, 2 parajumbles, 3 error spotting, fill in the blanks, synonyms and antonyms, analogies, cloze test. All these things were given last year. Number of questions were 32, 22 minutes. So approximate time you could do was about 42 to 45 seconds. Moderate level of difficulty due to time constraints. Passages typically will be easy. Ideally, in the previous 2019, people did RC after the end of everything was over. That is not possible anymore this time. It cannot be. If here you cannot even leave it. This is all about, we're talking about last year, what happened. Okay, questions which come in logical reasoning, the type of questions are arrangements and logical reasoning. It's the same in all the papers here. There's nothing different. You have sequential output, coding, decoding, directions, especially SNAP and NMAT are very close to each other, and TestNet also is very close. Venn diagrams, family, decision making, numbers, grid, etc. Mathematical operators, alphanumeric, letter series, number series, alphanumeric series, symbolic logic based kind of things, course of action, critical reasoning, inference based questions, assumptions, all those things will come to you. Now, logical reasoning will have verbal logic, symbolic logic, and analytical reasoning. These are the 3 areas you will get for logical reasoning. And last year's paper had, coding, decoding was 5, blood relations were 3. You can clearly see this: statement, argument, conclusion, inference, assumption, all these things, and even including course of action and decision making. There were only 14 questions. All of that could be done in something like 30 seconds. So it is very much possible for you people to solve. And I don't see too much of a difference even this year. There will not be 40 questions, there will be 36 questions, but you can expect very, very similar type of questions in NMAT this year. Quantitative skills. Quantitative skills, we look at arithmetic again, number systems, geometry. Nothing is different, guys. Nothing is different. Probability, of course, there's only one or 2 questions of probability that can come in your NMAT. CAT does not give you, but if you look at SNAP, if you look at ZAT, if you look at NMAT, probability as an area come in. That's the reason why we teach you probability also. But these are the areas which will come to you in the quantitative ability sections. Okay. One extra area which is there in both SNAP and NMAT is the data sufficiency. Again, data sufficiency is a very interesting area. If your basics are strong, you would be able to get it much, much better. What is the number of questions which were given last year? Once again, if you look at it. Oh, by the way, one last thing. Sorry, the data interpretation questions also will be given. What did they give last time? Out of the 48 questions, there were 4 sets of DI they gave. 4 sets of DI they gave. This year there are 36. Therefore, probably there will be either 10 or 12 questions of data interpretation, and the rest will be probably or even half of the questions could be data interpretation. My bet is it will be about 12, and the rest of them will be your questions in arithmetic. You can clearly see this almost 14 questions were arithmetic. Then you have numbers were 4, then progressions, logarithms, probability, and permutations. Algebra will be about 8, and geometry were also about 2 kind of things. This is what the last year's paper was. Of things to select, there are multiple ways of. You can start with a logical reasoning quant language or logical reasoning language skill. If you're good in logical reasoning, that is where you can start off with. Typically in this kind of a area, I would go with your strength area. If your language skills are good, for example, if I were I will start with language skills, probably go to logical and then go to quant. That doesn't mean quant is bad or good, but somebody who's really, really good in logical can go in this manner. Make sure that you do language last. Whichever way it is, friends, you need to experiment a bit. And choose what you want to get. It could be any choosing. Somewhere you can choose in that sense.
I hope the session gave you all insights into the NMAT exam this year. Many queries that you still have, please feel free to get in touch with me at ARKS, ARKS @careerlauncher.com. Wish you all the very best.